Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and today I am going to rank the American Horror Story Freak Show characters. Now first off, it's tough. I think I was really enjoying the season in the moment. I looked forward to every day watching a new episode, and I really loved the majority of the episodes. I did notice, though, that it had the same formula problems where it fell off at a certain point, and then the finale was disappointing. It had the same issue that all the other seasons have in terms of plot structure. This season, though, had it even worse because of how, after episode 4, it almost felt like that was the season finale. So it was very interesting, and I don't know, looking back, it's tough. I kind of feel like I was a little biased towards it. It's hard because there's so much stuff to love, and it felt like the potential was there. Sometimes, even though something's not good, you can see the potential, where it can go. Better Call Saul, season 5, even. I honestly, season 4 was so bad, I would have quit watching the show. But I still had high hopes. I still thought it had potential to be good, even though I knew they were going to rush it to an end and ruin everything. But you know how that worked out. So, anyways, I have 5 tiers. First, we have the fuck you tier. Then we have the dumb and dull. Then we have could have been better. Then we had good moments. And then we have the best, even if the story sucked. So, in the fuck you category, the worst character was the magician Neil Patrick Harris and his doll. I can't remember their names, but all I can remember is that these characters were shoehorned in. The show there was 3 episodes left, and they introduce an entirely new character, and they have this whole backstory about him, and it's just so uninteresting when, this is supposed to be crunch time. This is supposed to be when, the main story is kicking it into gear and getting to a big climax in episode 13. And instead, there was all this dead time with them focusing on this stupid side character. This character, instead of killing off the clown, Twisty the Clown, they should have introduced this guy in episode 2. Then you could have still had most of the stuff that he did, and in episode 4, you could have had him get taken away by Edward Mordrake, and Twisty sticks around for the rest of the season. That would have been a much better option in terms of plot pacing. I did like his doll better than him. I can't remember her name, or Marjorie, I think, maybe. I really love Neil Patrick Harris as an actor, too. It's just that these characters felt so shoehorned in. Next up is Penny's father. Obviously, fuck him. He didn't really have any depth to his character. He was very one-dimensional, and he did serve a little bit of a purpose just in terms of making his daughter see that what she was going to do to him wasn't right. And so I guess that's kind of a plus. But ugh. Next up is Pepper's sister. This bitch, wow. I mean, she was so evil. She was so cold and sociopathic. It was hard to watch. It was very uncomfortable. it was very unpleasant to watch that character. I honestly, I don't know how Elsa could have left Pepper with her, because I took one look at her and I knew, like, ooh, this bitch is weird. She's a, ugh. You get a bad vibe from her. And, I know that the actress isn't evil, but this character is really, really evil. Like, for some reason, 2 seasons in a row now, she's just played, like, the worst characters. So, hopefully in next season she gets to play a good character for once, honestly. Next up is the detective, the corrupt detective. This guy is another guy who, I could have put him, I wanted to put him in the dumb and dull section, because I did think that it was kind of cool that Dandy hired him, and that, that was kind of like, ooh, that could have led to some good conflict. It could have led to some good stories, but instead, it didn't really go anywhere, and there were several points near the end where you were really wondering, are the detectives, are the police going to come and, like, cause some sort of a problem, because they could just blame it all on the survivor freaks, they could blame them on this and that, but the detective just kind of stays, he just stays away. Like, I can't even remember what the detective's last moment was on the show. He was really one-dimensional, and he was exactly like the police in the New York City season, which, by the way, I do need to also go back and rank the characters for those 2 seasons, seasons 10 and 11, so I might be doing that this month as well. It's just these ranking videos, they're getting to be a little bit much. Even though tier lists are better, honestly, I much prefer doing tier lists than, like, ranking everything out on hand. Now, at the top of the fuck you category is going to be a very controversial choice. And I know that this is going to make people go, oh my god, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Go ahead. Go ahead. Jimmy Darling, Lobster Boy. I gotta be honest, guys. Once again, Evan Peters is not respectfully cast as a good character. He's just kind of there to be like an object for teenage girls to ship, to crush over, to oogle at. He's just there as like this heartthrob, Leonardo DiCaprio and Titanic type character. The idea for his character was really cool. He was very good at acting. He had a couple of really great acting moments. A couple of moments that jump out were the moment, of course, when he gives up his hands to Stanley. That was a very suspenseful, kind of hard to watch sequence, because you knew that he didn't know that what was going to come and that he was going to lose both hands, and it was very kind of uncomfortable. And then the moment where he's talking to Dell in the bar about that time in the winter when he could just walk around without wearing gloves, that was a great scene as well. And so I really liked his character. It's just that the one problem was that his character had no fucking purpose. They built up this stupid story arc where they kept on saying he needs to be a leader, he needs to be a leader, he needs to be a leader, he needs to be... And I'm just saying it over and over because that's what they kept saying. It was so cringeworthy and vomitocious. It was like in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, which, thank God, he's gone. Ugh. God, that guy was fucking trash. And all of his movies were, too. And Man of Steel, the whole fucking movie, people just talking about Clark is really special. Clark Kent is really special. Clark Kent, he's meant for great things. Clark, he's gonna do something great. Clark, he's the greatest thing ever made. Clark is God's gift to the universe. Like, they just kept on saying that over and over again in that fucking shitty ass not Superman movie. Fucking shitty, terrible fucking film. Terrible script. Terrible everything. Except for the action. The action was pretty good, and the music was fantastic. I just listened to the music this morning, actually, so that's why it was on my mind. But the Jimmy character, he never goes anywhere. Like, the whole season, leader. He had this little storyline teased where he's gonna be Dandy's arch nemesis. Never goes anywhere. And sorry about that. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. And by the end of the season, he literally just becomes a stay-at-home husband. Like, that's like all of his friends and family die except for a couple, including Emma Roberts, unfortunately, and it's just him. And he's just this pathetic stay-at-home husband. I mean, when I saw him in the last shot of this season, sitting at home, eating a TV dinner on the couch, watching some fucking, I don't know, fucking Father Knows Best or some fucking 1950s shit, I was like, okay, this guy is going near the bottom. This character, it pissed me off the way that his character went nowhere. He didn't have an arc. He didn't have a purpose. It almost felt like they did that on purpose to surprise you. Like, he had that one thing that he did in episode 4 where he was a quote-unquote hero in that episode. That's it. That's all they did with his character. And after that, it was just completely downhill. And I'm going to text Safi because she was starting to bother me. Okay, so anyways, that's the end of the fuck you tier. In the dumb and dull section, these characters pissed me off so much. I had all these characters in the could have been better or the had good moments, but then they just had to do something. And so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the sin that they committed that really pissed me off in the show. So they found out that Elsa killed Ethel, and all of them were ready to team up and kill her for doing that, even though they had no idea what actually happened. They had no idea why it happened. They had no idea. They were all just ready to turn on her, and by the end of the season, they were so unlikable. They had turned into this like very like creepy, offensive, like stereotypical, like what an idiot would think that freaks are, you know, like a murderous group of criminals. You know, by the end of the season, you really hate the freaks. Like, you really hate them. Like, what's good about them? Like, literally, what's good? They just go around killing people at the drop of a hat, like a murderous mob. Like, the only person that they killed who deserved it was Stanley. And Stanley, they didn't even kill Stanley. They just disfigured him and put him in a tank. And you don't even get to find out what happens to him. And what really pissed me off was the characters who had just arrived at the Freak Show doing this. And so those were, of course, Penny, Desiree, and Ima Wiggles. These three characters are at the bottom for me. These characters come to this Freak Show. They're saved by Elsa. And in terms of gratitude and being thankful to her, what they're going to give her in return is they're going to kill her because she killed someone else that they don't even, like, it's just fucking ridiculous. It's awful. I'm a Wiggles, especially the fact that this bitch, all she gets to do is sit around and eat and stuff her fat face all day long, and she's mad for some reason. Like, it made no sense. They did not know what to do with this character, and she deserved better, and she should have betrayed those stupid freaks as well. She should have been on Team Elsa, and there should have been like a freak civil war or something. And Desiree is next. Desiree, I despised this. I was so utterly annoyed by this character. This annoying, whiny, bratty, like loud, obnoxious. She was so annoying. She was such a trash character. They had no idea what to do with her, so they just made her like a loud, obnoxious voice of quote-unquote reason, where she's getting people together to go and kill people and torture them. She was very unlikable. Her whole arc as a character is that she thought that she was a hermaphrodite, but it turned out that she wasn't. And so, I mean, that's not a very good character arc. And then her other character arc is she trades in one hothead for another. Like, she's I guess she's really into hotheads. She's really into like people like Dell, and so she traded him in for someone who's exactly like him, but the only difference is like just one little difference. And I'm not going to say the difference because I don't want to seem like that's a problem or anything. But his character was trash too. He was a shoehorned trash character. He was weak. He was cardboard cutout, and they didn't have any chemistry. But then again, this character, I despised her. I despised this character just as much as Jimmy, except the only thing is that she did a better job acting than Evan did. Next up is Penny. This character especially, she comes in, she had a pretty okay story that just kind of pops up in the middle of the season, and it's just kind of worthless and meaningless. But the hilarious thing is that she has this whole arc where she realizes that she shouldn't be killing people, because once you kill someone, it's like a turning point, and you just keep on going from there. And she's not even a real freak either. She's a person with tattoos on her face, which, nowadays there are a lot of freaks who are just people with tattoos, but it's a lot worse than this. This is very tame. Basically it's only a freak by 1950s standards, which is, kind of like, eh. But I just really despised how these three characters, they've only been at this freak show for a couple of weeks, and they're ready to commit murder at the drop of a hat. It just made them so unlikable. So, and so next up is Legless Susie, which it's sad to hear that the actress passed away in real life. Rest in peace to her. This character and the other two freaks who wanted to kill Elsa, I put them all. So you have the Seal Boy and you have Amazon Eve. I put them in the dumb and dull section too, because it just pissed me off. They're going to betray Elsa like that. Just really, really shitty. And they got what they deserved on this show. Like, as characters, I was really happy that, it was like karma. It was like, for killing all those other people, for turning into, the freaks that people thought that they were. They paid the ultimate price. And, Amazon Eve, she was only okay. I put her at the top. She was only pretty good because she had that moment where she fought with Dell, and that was really funny. I liked that a lot. I also loved the moment where she fought with Dandy. It's too bad that she didn't have more, because I really liked her. It's just that I automatically put all the characters who were going to kill Elsa in the dumb and dull section. And as well, I have Regina, who is the daughter of Doris. She was very dull. She was nothing but like a inconvenience to Dandy's character. She was just kind of there to get killed. She only had like one funny moment. Other than that, she was very, very boring. She almost kind of seemed like she was trying to pretend that she wasn't who she was. Like, it felt a lot like in the Birdcage when that guy was trying to act like a straight person and it just came off really badly. That's what it felt like with her, unfortunately. So in the could have been better tier, I have Dr. Hans Gruber, which we all know who he is from Asylum. I really felt like I didn't even know who that was until people said, I completely forgot that was his name. I completely forgot that that was the character. I really felt like they could have done a better job with that. I felt like he could have had one really menacing scene where we got to see like young Dr. Arden. Would have been really creepy and really like, I don't know, like a really good horror moment, but it didn't even feel like the character. So next up, we have Salty. This character, I don't even know if you could call this a character. He didn't really have anything that he did except for die. So, that's not really much of a character, is it? And then next up, you have the two captives who Twisty the Clown took. I was really upset because I thought that they were pretty good characters in terms of, I don't know, like I wanted them to be more in the season. Like, I was very disappointed that they ended up just disappearing from the show. I thought that it was very anticlimactic that they would just disappear like that, because they were good. Like, they were both, like, especially the blonde woman, just looking at her picture, she seems like, I don't know, like, I feel like she should have been the fortune teller character, because she seemed like a better actress, even though she had the smaller role. Next up is Dell's boyfriend, aka the prostitute. This character was very one-dimensional, but he was very good. I mean, he was likable. It's just that he really didn't have very much to him. He was just a victim character. Really didn't have much going on. Next up is Edward Mordrake. This character, he had a great backstory. I loved the black and white movie Origin, but his character was pretty like, the first time I saw him, I thought, this is a great character, but I didn't really get why he was picking people. I didn't understand why he was choosing who he was choosing. And then when he came in at the end, I just thought, this character is a complete buffoon. He's like I don't even know how to describe it, like some sort of a cosplayer playing this character. I really felt like this character could have been epic. He could have been a best tier character, but he really didn't do very much. And he should have been a lot more involved in the season. And at the top of the could have been better was Gloria Mott. This character was, I really loved the acting. She did a fantastic job. It's just that once again, I felt like she could have done a lot more. She could have been involved a lot more in the story. The only scene of hers that's worth remembering to me, in my opinion, is the scene where she gets killed. That whole scene, like that scene was phenomenal. But the rest of it, she was just kind of playing. I really liked the acting though. It was hard not to put her in the tier above. So now in the had good moments tier, first off, we have Ma Petite. I really didn't know where to put her because, I watched a video about her in real life, and I guess she can't really do very much. Like, she said that she can only really walk slowly, and that she can't, she has a hard time, and so she's really limited in her capabilities. I really liked her. It's just that I'm trying to think of, like, a reason why I should put her as in the best, even though she didn't even do anything that would qualify her for the best. I mean, the only thing that she really did was die twice. She died in a hallucination, and then she died in real life. I guess both those were good moments, so that's why she's in the had good moments only. At the top of the had good moments tier is Ethel. I really felt like Kathy Bates did a fantastic job acting as this character. Episode 3 in particular was a highlight. I also really loved when she had the final confrontation with Elsa. That was a very intense showdown. But the rest of her story was really weak. I felt like she could have had a lot more. She was one of the characters who kept on saying, Jimmy's going to become a hero. He's got to be the leader. He's got to be this. He's got to be that. And it never went anywhere. So it's trash. So now, in the best tier, we have Meep. And for some reason, Meep was very impactful. His character, he was very memorable because he was so goofy and odd, and he was so fun. He was a great character, and his whole story, where he just gets straight up. He's the first kill, and it's really, really, I don't know. Like, it was pretty shocking, to say the least, because I don't know. So, like, his character was similar to Ma Petite's, however, I felt like he was a little bit better. Next up is Doris. She was hilarious. I really loved how she stood up to Dandy. However, even though she stood up to him and she was quote-unquote really smart, what ended up happening? She just gets killed in episode 4. So, weak. But still, like, I really liked her a lot. I thought she was a legendary character. So, she deserves to be in the best, even though she could have been better. Next up is the Crybaby Twins. I really did not like these characters at first. I felt like they were kind of whiny and bratty. Like, they started falling in love with Dandy too, which was kind of cringeworthy. It felt like they didn't know what to do with this character, or both characters, I should say. But they redeemed themselves when they told Elsa to get out and to run away because all the other freaks are pieces of shit and they're turning on you. I really thought that was an epic character choice. And that one character choice makes me like them that much. So that's why their characters are in the best. And next up is Maggie the Fortune Teller. You know, this character, I was really surprised that Emma was able to play this character as well as she did. She could have been a really weak side character who you would question, you know, why even bother? Because what's her purpose? You know, she just tells them that Stanley is bad, and then she dies. That's all that her character is. And then she's a love interest who gets rejected in the end. So her character is pretty useless. And Emma Roberts turned the character into a really good character. You know, she really elevated the character. And I felt like she was a great love interest character, and I felt like, honestly, she deserved a better story. Now I'm starting to look at this season negatively because I'm looking at all these characters and I'm thinking like, wait a second, what was good about this? Like, it's really weird. Next up is Stanley. Obviously, he was extremely evil. I'm not saying that he's the best, as in, like, I like him, but he was so good. I looked forward to watching him every time he was on screen. He was perfect in the role. He was incredibly evil. He was an incredible villain. And I really think he deserved better too, because his character just dropped off at the end, even though it was revealed that he did not die. So I really felt like they messed up with that. But I really loved watching his character. He was one of the highlights of the season. Next up is Del. This character, obviously, once again, he was pretty evil, but he was a complex character. I really loved his character arc where he was redeeming himself for leaving Jimmy, and I really liked how he played both fences. You know, he not I know in terms of sexuality, but in terms of like good and evil, he seemed like more of an anti-hero, and it was really unfortunate that after all that work, after all that development of him being cut down by Desiree, it's just totally undone like 1 or 2 episodes later in a really shitty way, where it's like, oh look, it's another surprise death, where it's like, oh look, they're dead out of nowhere. And it's another thing where it was like, evil cannot be forgiven, evil cannot be redeemed. It's a very atheistic look at people, characters on the show. Next up is Elsa. This character was really good in terms of her performance. You know, I really thought that this might have been Jessica's third best performance, because honestly, I thought that Fiona was better, and I thought that Sister Jude was the best, of course. But this character was really good as this sort of like, I don't know, like a Frankenstein character, like the way that she just recruited all these freaks and put together this family. And, you know, it's too bad that they didn't go further with that. You know, her character was kind of meh, because they kind of just turned her into the jealous, egotistical, vanity celebrity person, like kind of like a Jennifer Lawrence type, like the type of person who would say, they never made female action movies before me. Like that's the type of character that this kind of turned into at the end. But every time she would kill someone, or she would get away, like she would get out of like a bad situation, like at the end where she didn't want to perform on Halloween, and then she was going to be ruined. And so she's like, oh, actually, I'll perform on Halloween. And she got out of all these situations where she could have died, and she was a really cool character. It's just, once again, it felt like they didn't know what to do with this character. They had a couple of ideas, but they didn't really do very much. Next up is Twisty the Clown. And God, this season looks terrible now. I can't believe it. Like, I'm almost kind of like regretting that I gave it a good review. Uh-oh. I didn't even expect that. It's kind of like... Well, I'll move on to Hotel now, and I hope Hotel is better, even though I've heard it's the worst one. So, I'm not looking forward to that. Twisty the Clown, I really thought that his backstory was the highlight of the season. It was a very tragic backstory. It was definitely some of the best acting that we saw all season. His character, he was so creepy, he was so scary. I love the kind of Halloween parodying that they were doing in episode 3, and I felt like he was an awesome villain. Like, really, he was an underrated villain, and it's too bad that they just kind of threw him away in episode 4. He deserved a lot better. But still, he's very iconic. I love the look of his character. And I hope that... I don't know. I don't like this season anymore. I don't even like this season anymore. This is pretty bad. I really regret giving a good review. So the second best character was Pepper. This character, I don't even think she should count because she was an asylum character. This character, her standalone episode was iconic. It was a masterpiece. It was one of the greatest television episodes in history. Other than that, her character was like a background character in the season. Like, she was literally just lurking in the background, doing nothing. But then she has her little standalone episode where she steals the show. So, I will say the standalone episode was fantastic. This season is not going to age well. I can see why nobody likes this season. I can see why people gave it a really bad review, because it is already totally it's gone. It's just, I think I'll put this at the very bottom, like even below season 10 so far. Like, I don't know. I'm really kind of like, ugh. Like, I feel like this was like some sort of something that you eat, and you eat it and you think it tastes good, but then you're done eating it and there's this horrible aftertaste, and then the thing makes you sick for like a week. Like, that's what this fucking season is reminding me of. Like, just the horrible aftertaste that this season has. Like, ugh. I can't believe that they wasted the potential of a freak show storyline so that they could do American Drama Story. Like, ugh. the best character in the series, in the season, is Dandy Mott. This character, people have made a lot of jokes about this character. They've also made a lot of, supportive jokes. Just saying, Dandy's back must have hurt from carrying the whole season. Because it's totally true. If he was not in the show after episode 4, this show would have been fucking trash. His character held the show together. He was the Fiona of season 4. He was a standout. He was evil. He was funny. And he was interesting. But why the season had to revolve around him? And then we didn't even get to see him perform. It was so disappointing and anticlimactic in the finale. I was thinking, I'm really excited to see him perform. And to see, I thought maybe he would perform and he would go crazy because he wouldn't get the results that he wanted. But he went crazy, when they started selling tickets. He was too far gone. And I wish his character would have been in a better season. I wish his character, they could have even given this guy his own season. That's how good his character was. He deserved a lot better, even though he is the best character. And now I'm gonna go fucking hide in a hole or something, hide in the closet, because I'm just so disappointed with the season now. I just can't even believe it. Fucking Ryan Murphy, I forgot to tell you guys this, but I came up with the ultimate name for Ryan Murphy. You guys know that I call Sarah, I call her Crybaby, even though she did a good job season 4. Well, Ryan Murphy is Mr. Premature Plot Ejaculator, because I swear to God, every fucking season this guy, he wastes all the plots and characters that he has. He gets rid of characters way too early. Nothing plays out. Nothing goes on for very long. It's just all gone in 2 seconds. It's just all just so miserable and melodramatic and just downbeat and pathetic. Just fan fiction level writing in terms of after the good stuff is gone. I'm really, God, the season was terrible. I can't even believe I gave the season a good review. Ugh. But to be fair though, it is still the same rating when I told you guys about that app, Badu. It still is that same rating. It's just that we're gonna have to adjust a little bit. I'm gonna have to rank this as one of the worst seasons, if not the worst. Ugh. So anyways, please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought about my character rankings, and let's move on now. I don't ever want to watch Freak Show again.